Okay, now that we've talked about the sort of the hardcore Rockwire structure and everything, now I want to talk about how to address an issue in your community with the Rockwire platform. So this is what this means is like if you live in a place, it could be here on campus or it could be off campus or it could be anywhere, and you have a community you want to apply Rockwire to. How do you address this issue? So this is a little bit more about thinking about how to do this. So we've thought about this a bit, and we have a master list of potential building blocks. So this is actually something you can find on our wiki. And if you go to the website that I told you about in the first video, you'll find a link to the website and then a link to the wiki on the website. And one of the things on the wiki is this list of building blocks. So you notice that we have all different types of building blocks. Some have been implemented and some are sort of planned post 2020. So we have a lot of things that they're still kind of like relevant to campus life, like wallet, door access, identity. So these are things like, payment systems or, campaigns or locations. And these are very space utilization and attendance. These manage things in the campus community. Okay. So they're still pretty campus centric. What we want to do is kind of think outside of that box and think about things that maybe you would do in a K through 12 system or a community that has no relationship to a university, uh, a small to medium-sized city. As I mentioned Aurora, Illinois before, they have a lot of issues that they would like to address with Rockwire, potentially surrounding entrepreneurship, empowering people in the community. And so these are things that we don't know what those building blocks are going to look like, but we've thought a lot about this. And so it can be very general or it can be specific to a specific system. So when you think about your building block, you have to keep that in mind. It can be both very general, high level, or it can be very specific to a community. And so, but what I recommend here is to take a small bite. Don't just kind of brainstorm and throw everything out onto a piece of paper. Although that's useful, you really want to think about this in terms of smaller bites. You want to think about it in terms of like, okay, here's what my community looks like. What kinds of things might we want to automate? Or what kinds of things might we want to enable using data that we have? And these are things that you can do pretty quickly and implement them pretty effectively. You don't have to be like this genius. You don't have to try to solve every problem at once. You just have to take a small bite. And so Rockwire can enable many great and practical things. And you should brainstorm, collaborate, and share ideas with people. But you want to be able to manage, what you do in a more tractable way. And I'll tell you what that involves in a bit here. Ignore this. So how might we do this? So we have we think about this in terms of rapid prototyping, or at least we can. And so there's a different talk on rapid prototyping that I won't talk about right now, but we have this basic iterative loop that we can use to think about our problems. And so we have an idea. And the idea is very fuzzy and it exists kind of in our head. And we want to put it down and we want to make it like salient. We want to have like an outcome. So we take the idea, we create a prototype. So that could mean like drawing it on paper or drawing it on your computer or actually building a physical model of it. Now, in the case of Rockwire, it's most likely going to be something you draw it on paper or write in a document. But, you could like think about the community in terms of, there's this piece of the infrastructure that we need to automate where we have data on it. Might be easy for people if you had like a way to integrate that information with people interacting with it. What would it look like? So that's an idea. But the idea here is to create a prototype and then refine your idea through cycles of collaboration with other people. And so you're collaborating with people, you're refining your idea, and you're creating new prototypes, and then you refine that prototype and you modify your idea. And then you keep doing this until you get something that looks pretty good. And so this is something you can do with your friends. You can do this with our community, but this is I think an effective way to think through these problems because they're not easy problems, and people always have good ideas of what to add and what to delete. So Steve Jobs would say, think broadly. Um, so how do you think about like your community and what would be something that you could incorporate into Rokwire? So, one thing you can do is learn from the state of things. And so that both means your sort of situational awareness, which you know from your community, and from things in the community that generate data. So you have sensor networks and the Internet of Things, which actually have data embedded in them. So you have like cars and their positional location in this image. And we're thinking maybe of having a traffic building block where we can monitor traffic flow. And so we can just kind of figure out maybe in the aggregate what the flow of traffic is on certain streets, at what time of day that is heavier or lighter. And so we can all learn this from sensors or the Internet of Things, and we can build a building block that tells people in real time what these potential problems are. And it doesn't have to be auto traffic; it could be foot traffic, it could be uh, you know um, some usage metric in the utility. So um, and then so related to that is learning from the state of the world. So you want to know like when things are happening and when you need to manage these things. So this is an example of like a light at a bus stop, and like, people are at the bus stop at night, and there's a light for them. But say you wanted to know like when are people usually at the bus stop? Maybe we want to have like turn the light on for them when they're there and turn it off when they're not there. Or maybe there's some other functionality there that we want to add when there's traffic in this system, not when there's not traffic. And so we can do this by learning from the state of the world. What's the most likely time people are in a certain place? Is it light or dark in a certain place, and so forth? And so we can do this from smart sensors. We can also do this just from observing people's behavior and then translating that into something that we can manage. And so finally, there's something called mobile learning. And so you can learn via cell phone. And so, think about when you carry around your cell phone all day and you're learning things from it. Um, you're looking things up, you're kind of checking the time or checking the temperature outside. All those things you're learning things on your cell phone. And so we can actually use a cell phone to enable mobile learning in a broader way than just like looking things up trivially. We can think about it in terms of presenting, common information that you might need to know, like weather reports or whatever. Or it could integrate information from different sources. So say you're interested in um, sports updates, and you can get sports updates in a way that's more informative than otherwise would be the case. And so, but I mean, we can also encourage academic learning in this way as well. So we can present people with academic resources that they might not otherwise find. Students look up things in Wikipedia only. We might want to augment that with when they look up a Wikipedia page in the app. They also get a list of different types of references, textbooks and articles and things that are enrich their sort of perspective, perhaps. So there are a lot of options here.